Every now and then I occasionally fall down the rabbit hole of disgusting comics, questionable art and inappropriate webtoons, which somehow end up getting served on a platter on my For You page, or perfectly placed as ads in between videos while I'm scrolling through YouTube. And this week the webtoon that has fallen into my lap is a webtoon called Tears of a Withered Flower, which somehow has mixed reviews all over the internet, from people calling it bad, problematic and all other sorts of negative discourse, complaining about the way some of the proportions of the characters are drawn, and even going as far as fixing them to make the art look more realistic and readable.
Ding dong, eat it up, eat it while I mix it up. Ding dong, eat it up, eat it while I mix it up. Ding dong, eat it up, eat it while I mix it up.
I'm so small and everyone's so big. I'm gonna put us in debt and you're gonna pay it back. Also, I hate you. It's okay, husband, because I'm small and so desirable. I'm gonna cheat on you a lot. Yes. I'm stalking you. I know which side you brush your teeth with first, but it's okay because I'm hot. Take me, side interest.
Cut the shit the fuck off!
What is it?
Bro, what is he doing?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Now I found out about this webtoon through TikTok and fellow YouTuber and commentator called Shalupa, who you probably know for reviewing webtoons, painstakingly dissecting anime, and having very funny and entertaining commentary while doing so, which at this point is a sign for you to go subscribe to him and spread some love across his videos. Now, according to the synopsis of this webtoon, the story follows Jesus and her husband, who's sadly having an affair behind her back, meanwhile leaving her with a huge debt after losing their child. Jesus then stumbles on him with a younger woman, which breaks her down, and her life begins to crumble all around her. This is going to be a rather long video from the looks of things. I can already see my last two brain cells leaving while I struggle to read through this webtoon, which is probably why I'll just let Chalupa do all the reading and save my sanity for other videos further down the line.
The webtoon starts with our protagonist arriving home and then...
Yeah, that's a really interesting way of kickstarting a story. I mean, just throwing us right into the heat of the moment.
She finds out she's been cucked before we find out it's only a nightmare, a recurring nightmare, which... oh, does that say a lot about her marriage?
And now, me personally, I wouldn't let that slide.
Times are apparently so tough on her that she had to ask for an advance from her boss, which fortunately he obliges. But the boss asks if her man's working as hard as her, which she then defends him by saying they're both working hard to pay the bills. Hold on, let me guess the plot. She's the one working hard while her husband sits at home and barely supports his struggling wife.
That sounds rather frustrating. Imagine working your ass off all day trying to put food on the table and then coming home to your husband eating popcorn and playing Fortnite Reload ranked. And he's losing. Boy, if you don't get your ass up off that chair and go play Reload ranked on Indeed or something.
If you guys ever thought you could never make it as a writer, remember, this place exists.
At least I know with my extensive prowess for writing slightly above average YouTube videos, I can always fall back to writing and drawing webtoons whenever I decide to quit.
Despite being drawn as the most attractive woman in the webtoon, her husband berates her for not having makeup. Wait, hold on. This is her without makeup?
Now, another thing I noticed quite a number of people had a problem with on TikTok was the way the artist drew the main character, especially her front side proportions compared to the rest of her body. According to the call out post, her proportions were unrealistic and were specifically drawn with the male gaze, which was why she ended up looking like this. People on my TikTok For You page started posting videos where they were quote unquote fixing the artist's drawings, apparently trying to make the proportions much more realistic to the context of the story, and the comments were all filled with people saying, "Finally making it realistic, I can feel the back pain melting away," and many other comments telling these art fixers they enjoyed their versions and that the original drawing somehow sexualized her character for the most part. Their argument was that the artist was sexualizing her character and that these proportions were unrealistic and people don't look like this in real life, which in turn started multiple arguments in the comments comments with people who said her body was literal tea and that there was nothing inherently wrong with it, and the people on the other side of the fence calling the artist out for over-sexualizing the character. Some people then started posting comparison videos of real people with similar body types as the drawings, saying it was indeed realistic and people were just overreacting about the situation. People also started leaving comments under the videos of people fixing the artist's drawings, telling them fixing art was disrespectful to the original artist and calling them out for even doing so in the first place, which in fact is pretty wrong, and I believe we should all know that by now since we're in 2026, which is literally 6 years past 2020 when fixing art was pretty common all over the internet.
The next day arrives and we find out Haesoo works 3 jobs. Oh my goodness, how does she still look like this? I'm not justifying in any way how he treats his wife, but you think that's why the husband barely supports her? Anytime something mildly annoying happens at a new job, he goes, "I don't need this, my girl has 3 jobs." We just hired you today. We get a little monologue from her talking about how every second of her adult life is spent thinking about work, with the only exception being when she was hospitalized. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. You're telling me this girl took a day off?
How dare she? How dare she take a break while being sick? That's absurd and uncalled for. Totally shameful behavior from her. I'm disgusted. Ew.
Utter millennial nonsense. She dares to be lazy instead of hardworking? Oh, but I was sick and at the hospital. Then why don't you work at the hospital? Stop making excuses!
What's wrong with you, bro? She's literally dying, man.
A flashback then reveals to us that her husband is the whole reason they're in this financial mess. And despite that, he still says to her, "You are disgusting!"
Bro, there's no way, bro. There's no way, bro. I'm throwing fists. There's no way you caused all of this and you're going to sit down calling me names while I do all the hard work around the house. You're leaving the house tonight.
Suddenly, some guy walks into the flower shop. Some guy who all the coworkers recognize, except for Haesoo. Also, some guy who looks like this.
Okay. I see where this is going. Okay.
Do you not cherish her? She didn't even bat an eye to this guy.
The guy also makes sure that Haesoo notices him, as he specifically requests she gives him the flowers. Boy, what an odd request, but there's no way this guy's in any way interested in Haesoo. He's on the Webtoon banner? Nah, certainly they meant to put her husband there instead. She's kissing him in these episode thumbnails? They meant to put her whack-ass husband there.
Okay, apparently this is where the first episode ended. So far so good. This is starting off like any typical K-drama. The girl eventually meets the potential love interest. One way or another they bump into each other. Her flowers fall to the ground and then he helps her pick them up while he apologizes for what just happened. Coincidentally, they lock eyes and she sees that he's the most beautiful angel she has ever seen in her life, and immediately her stomach is filled with butterflies and her eyes start sparkling because this is the person she's potentially going to fall in love with for the rest of her life. Oh Lord. It's so cliche. I could just guess what's probably going to happen in the next episode. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's see what Chalupa has in store for us in the next episode. Also, by the way, shout out to Chalupa for making this story so funny and entertaining. This is literally peak YouTube comedy at its finest. Everyone should go subscribe to him, and he makes really good videos. And speaking about great guys that make good videos, if you enjoy videos like this that talk about drama and controversies in the art community, you should subscribe. I post weekly and talk about art, things happening in the art community, and other things of that nature. If that's something you find interesting, just hit that little subscribe button and join the family.
Haesoo compares people who live in the spotlight with people who live in the background as extras, thinking Roseboy to be someone in the spotlight while she's an extra. Yes, Haesoo, you're clearly a background character. That's why we're seeing your inner thoughts and why you were given this design.
Aside from the rather interesting screenshot, can we take a moment to appreciate the art? Proportions aside, I think the art style and lighting in this webtoon is pretty neat.
She gives the guy his flowers and he leaves, her coworkers freaking out over the idea a guy that attractive might be interested in Haesoo. Haesoo dismisses this idea, thinking there's no way a guy that young could ever find an old lady like her attractive. Her coworkers confused why she thinks so low of herself when she's so beautiful, which causes Haesoo to think people only say that to make an old withered flower like her feel better.
Now, I'm not so sure about the old withered flower part, because from where I and the rest of the audience is standing, she looks pretty good. Also, how much of an age gap are we talking about? A year, maybe 2 years? How much are we talking about?
Okay, I see what they're trying to do here. Her marriage has been so terrible that it makes her feel worthless, and it's destroyed her self-esteem. I understand that. The problem here is, look at her! Why would you design her to be the most conventionally attractive lady in the webtoon? Is it impossible to swap these two character designs with each other? I freaking hate it when stories do this. Gosh, this character's so ugly. Not even a mother could love that face. And that character mogs the entire verse! I don't get it. Is it impossible to design a character with self-image doubts to be, you know, average? No, we can't do that. Let's give her something to make sure nobody looks her in the eye.
I think the thing with self-esteem and how it affects you psychologically is, despite how you look, if you fall in love with someone and then they betray that love you had for them, start making fun of you, calling you names and other derogatory remarks, it slowly begins to manifest into how you view yourself. And for some people, it gets really bad to the point where you literally lose every bit of confidence you had and basically begin to think less and less of yourself every single day. It's a sad place to be in mentally, and I honestly don't even wish it on anyone at all.
Another scene trying to depict a broken marriage somehow only proves my point. The husband's shocked she still has all her curves, while even commenting on how big her kazangas are. And apparently, she's able to look like this without working out or dieting. Yeah, guys, really chose the best design to be self-conscious. Oh, and she looks like this forever? God, you guys deserve to be rewarded for this. You can take tomorrow off. Actually, no, that's not enough. Take the next week off. Hold on, wait, I'm sorry. I am undervaluing your work. Take the next year off.
Whoa, thank you so much. This is all paid vacation, right?
Just get the hell out of this building. And also, something feels off about these panels. Like, we're not exactly seeing the full picture.
I think they clearly showed us enough to work with. It's not like we're trying to see any more of her or anything.
The next day arrives, and guess who arrives to the flower shop? Well, with all that exposition of a bad marriage we just got, we're probably gonna see some really romantic scenes. I was still right though, because when he notices how hungry she is, he buys her a sandwich, but Haesoo, not realizing it's a gift, rushes to return it. My headcanon, she knew it was a gift, but out of pure disgust, she returned it anyway. Haesoo doesn't eat peasant food like that. She saves her appetite for real food.
What is that arm? Is that a Croc's arm? What is that?
Once she realizes this random guy actually gifted her lunch, she comes to the only logical conclusion. He pitied someone that was hungry, and she looks pathetic.
I think this just shows you how low she sees herself due to all the things she has been going through in her family and just at home and with her marriage, which has for the most part crushed her self-esteem and killed her confidence.
Her coworker asks if she's going to pursue Flower Boy, but she immediately shuts down that idea, telling her that she's married. And then we find out she isn't married because the insane debt they're in forced them to divorce.
Oh lord, what is even going on?
Okay, someone please enlighten me in the comments because I'm genuinely confused. What do they mean they got divorced because of the debt? Seriously, someone help me right now because all I'm thinking is that there's some law in Korea that states, if you're married and get into debt, forget for richer or poorer. It's over!
Imagine your partner asking you for divorce and leaving you because of a debt you both accumulated together because you were just trying to keep the family alive. That doesn't make any sense. What happened to For Better or Worse? Till death do we part. What happened to all of that?
We then check over said husband, Min Cheol, at work. And you know how Jesus still honors him like he is her husband? Well, I guess that honor only goes one way because Min Cheol is taking full advantage of the fact he's not legally married. Then, when he gets back home, he asks for some money to buy cologne. Cologne that costs $200 cause he can't have anyone thinking he's cheap.
What is wrong with this man? Like, hello? At this point, it's clear he's just using her as his financial sponsor. He doesn't want to marry her, but is still manipulating her and keeping her around because of what he can get from her. This dude is weird, bro.
Man, that must be some expensive cologne. Why don't we go check in on him buying said cologne? Oh, he really is just buying cologne. Guess I was wrong about... Oh, there she is. And because of the new expenses he's given them, she's added another job onto her workload to pay the bills. Man, she's working herself to death. Her husband doesn't appreciate her. Won't someone save her? Oh my goodness, yes! A boring two-dimensional character to treat her like a queen.
I know I said I enjoyed the art in this webtoon earlier, but like, why is this man's body just mostly legs? His legs are literally the same height as Hisu. This man is all legs. How?
Flower Boy and his friends eat at the Korean barbecue place she works at, but it soon becomes apparent he brought them all there just so he could get a good look at Haesu. See guys, if you want to get into a woman's heart, this is what you gotta do. Speak to her like a normal human being? Don't be silly. Stalking her everywhere she goes? Congratulations on the marriage.
This reminds me of that one guy on TikTok that goes around stalking popular streamers and other TikTokers and then asking them to do the dance with the pants.
We go back to the happily divorced couple at home, and let me guess, Min Cheol degrades Haesu when Haesu lets it happen. Just look at yourself. No man would like a woman as pitiful as you. Skip it! Min Cheol's at work with the cute coworker, afraid of a bug. When Flower Boy arrives to her job, she makes an active effort to avoid him out of embarrassment, clearly disappointing Flower Boy. But you know he wouldn't just leave it there, and so he waits for her shift to end and umbrella to break to walk her home in the rain.
This is such a classic K-drama trope. I can literally see them walking together and holding hands. And then he flicks his hair just to remove all the raindrops on his slick, smooth hair.
If you ever like a girl and want her to like you back, do what this webtoon teaches you. And if she says no, start following her. And if she starts running, chase her to show how never-ending your love is.
Don't do that. That's the quickest way to catch a case. Bonus points if you're black.
You guys already heard my thoughts on how much I hate the "I'm so ugly, but I'm also the prettiest character" trope. They can't afford to draw her as an average woman, right? Otherwise, how else are we gonna lure in the gooners? The plot's also so unbelievably predictable. Her marriage sucks, her not husband cheats on her, she's devastated, and who's there to save the day? Stalker Boy! Speaking of which, I haven't read much of this freaking thing, but I don't need to see this guy's a freaking creep. It's like this. Who should Haesu end up with? Her emotionally, spiritually abusive husband that doesn't appreciate her, or Joe Goldberg? Why are these her options?
Oh, Chalupa, how do you know he's a stalker?
How does he know where else she works? Why did he wait for her till her shift ended? They're freaking strangers to each other. This boring piece of garbage, bro. It straight feels like a Tyler Perry movie without the religion. Just watch that Boondocks clip and you'll know straight away what I mean. Look, this thing isn't the worst thing I've read, obviously, but in my opinion, all the hate for Tears on a Withered Flower is justified. It's boring, glorifies stalking, and uses some really stupid tropes.
A lot of comments on the Chalupa's video all shared similar sentiments on how bad the webtoon is, making fun of the proportions and expressing how much hate and disdain they had for the entire story. Some people also had an issue with the age gap between the love interest and Heisu, which apparently is 10 years or so, and is kinda weird since he's like 20. But I don't really think it's that big of a deal, especially when they're older, but I don't know. Obviously it's going to be quite an interesting dynamic to see, but I believe as long as both of them are adults and there's consent, then it could possibly work in the long run. This webtoon is still going the rounds all across TikTok, with half of the community calling it out for being incredibly terrible and the other half just quietly enjoying every single chapter that comes out and can't wait for the next one so they can start reading. For those of you who are reading or who have read this webtoon, I'd love to know your thoughts. Did you enjoy it? Do you think it's a great webtoon, or do you think it's gutter trash that needs to be left beside the curb in the rain? Let me know your honest opinions. Well, it looks like you made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, share the video with a friend who hasn't seen this webtoon, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. With all that being said, I'll see all you pretty penguins in the next video. Bye.